Welcome to the PSG Weekly Podcast. My name is Benny, that is Dylan, that is Houston, that is Ben. And today we're going to talk about what we've been doing in video games and the latest news in video games. If you're watching this live, yes, that's right, we did do it live. We went live on Friday at the Comic Storian Podcast Network, twitch.tv/comicstorian, where we do a lot of podcasting and decided, hey, let's do this live so that our Twitch viewers could see the sausage being made. I love that phrasing.
I don't want that.
I gotta go.
Nah, I accept this.
You accept the sausage being made?
Well, listen,
Shank likes the sausage.
So, you know, Shake, since we're launching so many different podcasts, we should just have the Sausage Party podcast and just
Look at Seth
you know,
Rogen
there's a
involved.
line, and I feel like you just stepped over it. So
Oh no!
it's just gonna be four dudes talking. I mean, PSG could be the personal sausage party podcast.
Where's the
SPP Sausage Party podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, if this is your first time watching us, yes, PlayStation and Steam Gamers is our gaming channel. We bring you news on a weekly basis. We bring you discussions on a weekly basis, and we bring you lore on a weekly basis. We play a lot of our favorite games, from Assassin's Creed to Fortnite to Rainbow Six Siege to Overwatch to Monster Hunter Rise to the 9,000 app games that Houston is currently playing and has no help with, and there's a little Destiny in there as well. I want to, before we get into our week, I just want to talk about the funny happenings in the office of PSG, which is a Discord server. Over the course of this week, Shank has recruited at least 15 Destiny players to help him write the lore.
It's true.
Listen, this is not all for Destiny. I'm just getting people who feel like they want to help out.
I'm just saying, Shank. I'm over here writing 100 of my own scripts.
Listen,
You're just over there recording.
Benny recruited Coda for you.
Right, I got Coda.
Coda plays Genshin Impact. I got one.
That's
thing
an app
he can
game,
make.
right? It's close enough.
An app game. So he can write me a script.
One script on one game. Look. Shank knows how to delegate.
That's literally what it is.
What I'm getting at, though, is technically we are the four main hosts of PSG, but Shank has managed to recruit 15 other. I like how you've dubbed them interns, but you basically just have free labor. Like, it's.
Isn't that what internships are?
Yeah, this is
You
America.
say
That's what
intern,
interns are.
It's okay.
I mean, I was straight up
Don't
about
say
it.
free labor. Say intern.
How dare you?
And if you want to join the free labor / intern program with Shank, go on over to the PSG Discord.
If you play a lot of app games, hit me up.
All right, so weekly game updates. I like how I'm not first. Thanks. Like, is it because I'm gonna just talk about Assassin's Creed for an hour?
I got to the notes before you. Sorry.
You got an entire podcast dedicated to your updates last week.
You had the thumbnail and everything. Now it's my turn. Yeah, so this week I've been playing a lot of Overwatch again. Look, listen. The Overwatch doesn't normally have this much going on. But
I do want to state he's defending himself before we said anything.
I know, but I feel like I only play one game in the eyes of these viewers.
Me too.
But so the Overwatch Archives event started this week, which is one of their like 4 or 5 annual events. This one is focused on sort of like the skins are themed around what the characters in the game like did in their past. So it's like, you know, their old stuff. Like Reaper always gets skins of before he was all messed up and goofy.
Goofy? He is not goofy, sir. He is edgelord.
Oh, sorry. He's so epic and awesome.
That's what he
Thank
said.
you.
Goofy.
That's better.
Exactly. But it also comes with the early access to Overwatch 2 with the story modes. And they're a lot of fun. I actually hadn't played any of them except for the first one, Storm Rising, which came out like with the first Overwatch Archives event. But Retribution and Uprising I have never played, and they're a lot of fun. Have you guys, I don't know.
I've actually played those when they came out. Like, I know I haven't been on Overwatch probably in a year at this point, But there's a couple of games that I pop in and out of, like, oh, the story's out. Let me go goof off of the story and then go back. And ever since the first Archives, I was like, why isn't this a mode? Why isn't there just levels and things we can do? You've proven you can do it. Give it to me.
They are.
That's Overwatch
in a whole new game.
Yeah.
It
honestly,
honestly, how I
like,
feel about that, but
like playing it, I will say, because I've played the first story mode and Storm Rising, and it wasn't like super interesting. It was just kind of an expansion on what they did with Junkenstein's Revenge, which is the Halloween game mode,
which was fun the first year they did it.
Right. And then it just kind of, it's a hallway where you just kill enemies, and it's hard to make that interesting with one room. But they threw story in there, and they made you like move around and do different challenges throughout, and it got more fun. And then they just kept adding to that with like cutscenes and cool title sequences and like special enemies. And it really, like, especially now with the most recent one that came out last year, there's not a new story mode this year, but that's clear. It's just because they diverted all of their energy into Overwatch 2 and making that PvE content that much better. And I will say, playing these story modes makes me super excited for Overwatch 2 because it's showing me that this type of content in Overwatch, this PvE, like kind of Left 4 Dead style content, can be a lot of fun, especially if it's going to have a lot more on top of it.
No, I 100% agree. It's why, since the beginning, I've always argued, like, why is it... Even the first Archives came out, I was like, oh, great, we're finally getting PvE rolling out. We're going to get story. Because they've always said that the story, the matches aren't in canon. So it's like, oh, yeah,
right.
So none of it's in canon. Like, so...
Yeah, because basically the entirety of Overwatch 1 story, any of it that happens, just happens like right before Overwatch 2 is supposed to start, or before Overwatch is disbanded. So yeah, the first game is very much in that like weird gray area.
I have a question.
What's up?
If I were to hop on Overwatch right now, because the only time I played it, I think, was once over at my cousin's, on his Xbox or something. If I were to hop on right now, would I be able to experience the full story for Overwatch 1 before Overwatch 2 comes out?
Yes. I would recommend, if for anyone that's trying to get into Overwatch, specifically with Overwatch's lore, just go on YouTube, watch one of those like hour and a half long compilations of all of the cinematics, then jump in as soon as you can into the Archives event and play the 3 story modes, because they're gone after April 26th. So if you want to catch up and actually experience the story for yourself, then yeah, you can jump in right now and do that. It's just 3 missions. It'd probably take you an hour to blow through, so like 2.5 hours to get caught up like completely on all of the story. But yeah, any of the PvP content, like Benny was saying, any of the interactions that they have between each other, those are all non-canon.
This game been out for like years?
Yes, but
I'll translate the Destiny terms for him. Yes, it has, but nothing has actually happened in the actual canon, Shank. So basically, you have, like he said, watch all the cutscenes because it's the only thing that is actually in canon, and then you have to play the 3 missions before they sunset them in about a week or 2. Okay, they're gonna sunset them. You get it? You get what I'm saying now?
Okay, so I have 2 weeks to get 15 years worth of lore because I don't know when Overwatch actually released.
2016.
Was that long
2016?
ago? But 15 sounds good.
Jesus.
I will say there is a lot more lore in comics and other like blog posts and stuff that they've been slowly doling out, but it is like the stuff you need to know is in the cinematics. It really, for Overwatch 2, the only one you need to watch is the Overwatch 2 launch cinematic, which just tells the story of Overwatch coming back together. But
Overwatch 1's overall story is just basically character building moments, but the actual story is that Overwatch was disbanded due to a bad event and they've come back together.
So like
and
Avengers.
That is the
very basics of it.
Yeah, but that's the very basic lines of the Overwatch 1 storyline over the last 4 years because they haven't built on the canon. The canon has literally been Overwatch 1 starts with them all coming back together, and then nothing is in canon.
Yeah. So like, Overwatch 1 doesn't. That's the thing. Overwatch 1 doesn't start with them all coming back together. Overwatch 2 does.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point, though, so.
Unfortunately, as a Destiny fan, like, I feel like I need to ask the question now is, can I get the entire story if I started playing the game today? And
there is no entire story is the problem with Overwatch. Overwatch Lore, so it's interesting how it panned out. The game came out, and it was like the remnants of that Titan project that they were working on at the time.
Yeah.
And they basically just made a shooter. That's all it was. A hero shooter, and they kind of created the genre to be what we know it to be today. And they canceled all the story. There was story coming out. They had a graphic novel dropping. They had a bunch of intended story missions dropping, and all of it was canceled. And the only thing that has come out now has been the comic books that Dylan talked about. They're all like really short 10-page comics, and all they do is build the backgrounds of the characters, like what were they doing before the first Overwatch. And then as far as the Overwatch lore goes, there was just something went really terribly wrong, and it's the only even that is still pretty vague what actually happened, unless I missed that.
We know what happened.
Okay, so it officially did happen. We know the full story.
We've kind of known from the beginning. It was the thing that caused Overwatch to disband is actually something you can play. It's a Blackwatch mission where Reaper kills someone important, and that gets uncovered. Blackwatch is exposed. Blackwatch is like the deep ops version of Overwatch. They get exposed. The like Civil War Registration Act comes into like the populace, and they're like, okay, we don't need heroes anymore. Overwatch is disbanded. But it's all
basically
like
the Avengers, and the Avengers had a
stuff.
Wolverine team, and the Wolverine team killed someone important, so they disbanded all the superheroes. That's your plot.
I was about to say, this really sounds like Avengers.
That's the thing, is Overwatch is tropey, and it knows it. Like, it's full of tropes, and every single character in it is just like an archetype, but they do it well. And especially in the cinematics, like Blizzard's animation and cinematics team just as a whole are experts at what they do. Those cinematics, even if you never play Overwatch, are worth a watch just because they're beautifully done.
I remember being extremely confused. I want to say it was about 2 years ago. There was something about a gorilla getting released or something, and I'm seeing the cinematic, and I'm like, oh, Overwatch has a story.
Yeah.
Like, I was thrown off because I thought it was just a hero shooter.
That's the problem with Overwatch. The actual story for Overwatch, outside of the archives events, is not in the game. Because if you just log onto Overwatch, it's just arcade modes and matches, and none of that is canon.
Right. Like, I will say that actually surprised me, because I've been into the lore for so long, and I kind of felt like it came with the territory. But I have a friend who got into Overwatch last year. I got her into it because of COVID. She was bored, and she really liked the game. But it took her almost an entire year to like actually sit down and watch the cinematics and start understanding the story, because I would spout like nonsense about the lore and character interactions, and she'd be like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, you really don't get any of that through just playing the game, because it doesn't have a campaign. But
chat just watched me go ahead and start installing it to play with you now. It opened up on the screen.
Nice.
Very nice.
But yeah, there's a lot of lore that you can sink your teeth in if you want to, but I would say Overwatch is definitely one of those gameplay first games. Overwatch 2, if you really want to dive into the lore, I would just jump in there.
Yeah.
Who knows when that game's coming out, or if it's even real. But
Overwatch 2's lore is that basically they're together now, and then it's gonna start something new. That's basically what it is.
Well, it's the actual story is we don't. There's a new version of Omnics. The like third Omnic War is starting, headed by Null Sector, which is the new
robot cyborg characters.
Yes.
Null Sector, is that like IO from Fortnite?
I don't know what that. Oh no, I don't know how to play that.
You're playing it next week, and I'm going to explain all the lore for Fortnite as we're going. The lore for Fortnite is deep. It's so deep. We're going to do it, Dylan.
I hated the idea of like playing Fortnite until I actually played it. It's actually a really fun game.
No, yeah, I'm not against it.
He's edited all our videos, and his exact comment was, man, I thought Fortnite was just about being a battle royale. You guys just don't even do that. It looks like fun.
I just hated the building, and I still hate the building. I think it's dumb.
Just do what I do. Don't build.
Yeah.
I built a freaking mansion the other day. We were getting attacked from like 3 sides, and I'm just like, whoa, Red,
That's
whoa,
so
Red, whoa.
stupid.
Like, huh?
I hate that.
And I'm like, holy shit, I did it. Oh my, it was like one of those moments. Like, I've been playing Fortnite now for probably like 7-8 months, and I've never gone ham on the building, and I've never really tried to, but I have it all hotkeyed. And I was getting attacked from 3 sides. I think you were there with us, Shank. I think it was one of the matches you were in with us. But we were getting attacked from all sides, and like Bunny was off on an island, and it was just me and I think like Corvus maybe or somebody. We were off on our own, and like we're getting attacked, and I'm just like, holy crap, I did it! What? Oh my god! And then I'm getting still shot, and I'm more in amazement that I built it. I'm just sitting there like, I did it! Where is it? I did it!
What I need to do is I need to rebind my keys to more convenient keys, because I think it's like XC and V build in that game, and it's like, when I'm trying to move, those aren't the keys I'm going to hit.
Yeah.
I
So
have a MMO mouse, so I just have it on 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I know. I literally think I have the same mouse. Hold on.
I'll show off our mice. I got this one. It's got removable plates.
I got this one.
I had
But I
that
never
one,
remove
and
it.
I had that one, and it started breaking for me.
This is the
Like, it wasn't
office
connecting
one.
properly, and I was like,
the
"That's
office
the
one.
Razer, right?"
Yeah, it's the new one. It's the Naga Pro. So it's got the only reason I upgraded was wireless is fun, but also this has a new like 6-button layout instead of the like MOBA one with the round layout, which I prefer this one.
Listen, I
I'm
need
gonna buy a
more
wireless
buttons.
mouse now.
I need more buttons. I can
That's
hit
fair.
more buttons with my thumb on the mouse than I can with my left hand on the keyboard. It's
Yes.
It
ridiculous.
really is impressive.
Like I
I'm
could
the same
probably
way.
have like 16 to 20 buttons over here, and I'd be fine.
My my reasoning for only using that one, because it comes with the MMO like 12 key as well, but I hated, because one of the things that I had to do when I had the old one with I would switch to the MOBA one, the circle, when I was gaming, but I would switch back to like the normal 2-button layout when I wasn't, because it had the rubber here where my thumb could rest when I'm like editing or something. But this one has 6 buttons and the rubber, so I never have to change it out, which is very comfortable for me.
14 scarred me because I had every single hotkey bind somehow to my mouse. And then I either had to hold like shift or control, and then I had the rest of my stuff.
Yeah, 14, you'll have 3 rows if you're doing it right, and that's exact. I've got 1 through 12 assigned, and then like hold control, 1 through 12 is assigned, hold alt, 1 through 12 is assigned to something normally on my characters. All right, well, I guess, does that make it my turn?
Sure.
Okay, so Dylan, I hate you.
Okay.
You jinxed me. You were like, have you? So for those who didn't watch last week's podcast, I have given myself the task to have a topic to talk about and just something fun for me to do. I wanted to play every Assassin's Creed in chronological order, storyline wise, and get a platinum trophy in every single one too, to make it just that much more torturous for myself. So,
Of course.
now
That has to be done.
Right, and I've already got Origins done, I've already got Odyssey done, I've already got Valhalla. I did those when they came out, so now I'm going back through it. I had to start with the Ezio collection. Now, Assassin's Creed 2 was fine. Anybody who hunts platinum trophies knows you always cross that threshold where you're so close to finishing, but you don't want to play anymore. And that was the only problem I ran into with Assassin's Creed 2. It's like every mission is just annoying after like hour 25, so whatever. Brotherhood introduced the new way they wanted you to do the missions, where there was like the main way and then the bonus objective. Brotherhood also didn't know to put checkpoints in. So,
So get good.
Exactly.
I Googled it to see if this is going to be a repeat problem. Apparently in the next game, the trophies are right next to checkpoints. That's great, because it's not like this in this one. So, for the most part, I haven't had too many tremendous problems. Like, I had to redo a couple missions here and there, because what would happen is I would fail the bonus objective as the mission was concluding, so the game kept going. And I couldn't restart the memory.
Oh, no.
So that was
God.
slightly annoying to get all the way through a 30-minute mission, and then it goes, failure. But you did the right story thing, so you're good. We're going to keep moving. And I'm like, no, let me restart. Oh.
That's the worst.
But there's one, a bunch of them have this stupid objective in them where you can't take damage. Pretty standard, a bonus objective. The problem is If you take damage and it loads a checkpoint, it still counts that you took damage. So you have to restart the whole mission to get proper credit. So it's not like I can take damage, let myself die, reload the death checkpoint. If I took the damage and reload the checkpoint, it will still say I took damage. I gotta reload. Now, most of the Brotherhood missions, 15 minutes. So there's a couple of annoyances, a couple of irritations, nothing that took me too much time. But there's this one mission. There's this one mission where they give you a whole bunch of new mechanics and they don't want you to take damage, and it's 45 minutes long. And I keep taking damage on the end of the mission at the very last guy.
That's the worst.
The mission is Leonardo da Vinci has created a wooden tank, and you need to steal the tank and get it out of the base. Just go with it, man. Just go with it.
It makes sense.
Yeah, okay, sure.
It checks out. Everybody knows in history there was wooden tanks.
I thought the Trojan horse was cool. Check this out.
So generally, it's okay because like it's annoying. But once I'm in the tank, it says don't take damage in the tank. And they have like these barriers blocking any direct damage, so I can kind of like peek, shoot, go back, peek, shoot. Makes the mission take longer. When you get to the ending, they surround you with 3 cannons and 2 other tanks. And you're in a small space.
That's especially the worst when you're going through a mission just trying to be as careful as possible. And it ends up taking you like twice as long, but you just get nicked by some random guy who you forgot about at the last second.
Oh, God. So I've now failed this mission like 5 times, and it's 45 minutes each time.
Good Lord.
And it's getting worse because I keep doing it once, and then I go do other trophies. I'm at the end of the other trophies. It's becoming the last thing I have to do before I can move on.
Well, and whenever you're doing that kind of thing, you end up getting more frustrated, which makes you more likely to make a mistake earlier in the run. So then you just have to keep on repeating it over and over and over again.
Hear me out, Benny.
Yes.
Move to the next one. Come back in a
No,
little
that
while
would break
when
the
you cool
cheating.
off.
break the full.
No,
That's
that's
cheating.
horrible. Horrible.
I
Then I'm
know
just, then I'm just gonna
suffer. I don't care. I just you guys don't have to hear it all day. I do.
But then I'm gonna have like a stockpile of Assassin's Creeds where I'm like I'm 1 mission away from a platinum.
And then he'll never finish them.
The worst part
That's how
about
it
it
always
is
works.
it's not even like the mission starts up and you just get in the tank and I get to do the tank thing. The mission starts up with you having to stalk somebody. So it's 15 minutes of
So fun.
nothing. I'm
Yeah.
just following a guy and trying to not get caught. So it's just slowly stealth, slowly stealth, slowly stealth, slowly stealth. Then I get in and like, got in the tank. All right, boom, boom, dodge, weave, and I get nicked. All right, start over. Slowly stealth, slowly stealth.
That's so frustrating.
Nothing like playing old games, right?
It's so annoying. And I Googled it, and they're like, no, after this one, every time there's a trophy, they put it right next to the checkpoint, and it doesn't also carry over if you die. I'm like, oh, thank God.
That's good.
This is where they learn their lessons.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, this was bad. Maybe we should change this. Yeah, I made a whole video about that, like the concept of repeating stuff that you've already done in games just for the sake of it. It was about Sekiro and the Dark Souls games, but that was basically my thesis, is like nobody wants to redo stuff that you've already proven you can do.
Yeah, that's
False.
the annoying part.
False. If I can level up and absolutely smash it the second time I go through it, I do like replaying games.
Oh, sure. But it's to me, like, in that video, my thing was like I was talking about the fatal flaw of the Dark Souls games, which is what I think is the run back that you have to make to a boss after you lose, and sometimes that run back can be filled with like tons of enemies that will kill you before you can get there, and it's just
that
like,
makes sense.
just
when
let me fight the boss.
Same run through, yeah.
And I agree.
ugh.
I actually agree with that 100%. I like games. I don't mind doing the run through if I'm progressing, if I'm leveling, if I'm doing something. Like if we fail a mission in Outriders, which we're going to talk about in a second, it still kept my levels. So like we failed it, I had my levels, so now I'm still stronger. I'm progressively getting better as I go.
You're
so it's still
leveling up.
annoying. Yeah, it's still annoying, but I'm still making progress. In Dark Souls, I've played all 3 Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and I chose to not do Sekiro because I'm tired of that mentality of
Missing out.
I don't mind the get good mentality. I don't. I like getting better at games. I like improving. What I don't like is doing the exact same tedious task with zero progression over and over and over and over and over. Now I know that's kind of like counterintuitive to like every game me, Houston, and Shank play.
Yeah.
Because we play live services where
But
we repeat
they're
the same
designed
mission.
for that. Like
Right,
those
right.
games are not.
They're designed for the repeat play. They're designed for the tedium, and you are making minor progress in something. So it's like, oh, I'm
Right.
leveling, or you know what, we have to redo this strike shank, but I'm going to do this mission while we're doing it. You know, like that
Right.
kind of a thing.
With a game like that, I feel like the checkpoint has to be right before the boss. That's one thing Outriders is doing well. If I die in Outriders to a boss, it starts me right at the boss. I don't have to run up and beat like 50 annoying trash mobs before we can start the fight. It just restarts me right there where I need to start. So, I mean, I can't
It's
imagine.
honestly why I stopped playing Bravely Default 2. Bravely Default 2 is a system where the you go to the dungeon, the boss is at the end of the dungeon. The checkpoint and save point are halfway. So if you go to the boss and you didn't prep the proper jobs or the proper class or the proper gear and you die, you now have to run half the dungeon again. And since they're mazes, half the time I don't know how I got to the boss. So
Right,
now I have to wander around
That's
again.
frustrating.
It just seems like bad game design because, like, that's when I usually check out of games. Is when
Yeah.
I can no longer like I have to keep doing repetitive, boring stuff just to get to the actual objective I need to finish. I just
Yep.
And the Assassin's Creeds do fix this in the future. Like I said, I have the platinums in Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, and the trophies are more connected to just completing everything as opposed to doing it really awesome. You know what I mean? Like, so. But yeah, you jinxed me. You jinxed me, Dylan, because it was smooth sailing, Dylan, and you jinxed me. You were like, "When do you hell trophies?"
Hey,
I got one. I got
It
one
was
for you.
inevitable. You were gonna get there with or without me.
Just want to say thanks, Dylan. You don't have to hear him complain every day about this one trophy.
This is not
'Cause
my
I-
blame. Ubisoft, not me.
gonna institute a little time where we all have to sit down and voice chat and listen to Benny complain about the trophies he can't get.
I am with
Weekly
Shank on
therapy
that
session.
one.
Spread
I'm
the
tired of
love.
being the only one.
Spread the love.
Also, I did start up getting back into 7. I figured I'll just slowly but surely truck through it because everyone tells me just do it. Just do hard mode. Finish hard mode. You'll enjoy it.
7 remake.
Yeah, 7 remakes. I'm back to doing that one again here and there. And I started up that new Odd World, and I don't know. I'll talk about it a little bit because I'm mad because I paid money and apparently didn't have to. But
Would you buy it?
There's a video telling you that you don't have to
Yeah,
buy it on
you
PSG.
bought it.
Maybe
week
you should
before it
turn
went free, didn't
notifications
you?
on.
no, it came. So I'll talk about it now. So Odd World is free on PS4.
Benny thought Oddworld was free on PS4, but not on PS5, and complained about it for a while. He was wrong. Silly Benny.
Well, technical issues aside, what do you think of the game itself?
First off, it had one thing that really annoys me. You can't skip cutscenes. Which, in theory, you wouldn't think is terrible, but I wanted to just kind of get into the game, see how it felt, and I figured I'd just rerun the beginning area. And for opening cutscenes, like 5-6 minutes. It was kind of annoyingly long because they were trying to recap Oddworld. And I couldn't skip it.
Did you play the original?
Yeah, I played it way back in the day.
Okay.
I think most people haven't. So
Yeah, oh, and I get that.
I
I wish
mean,
there
I
was an
haven't,
option.
so.
And I'm saying the recap's fine. I wish there was a way to skip it though, so you get like, oh, hey,
Right.
we're recapping because basically it just starts off with Abe being like, "We're free," and they're like, "No, you're not."
Surprise!
So the gameplay itself felt very tight, very good. I really did enjoy it. I'm curious how long it's going to be, being the fact that it was a $40 game. When I've played a lot of side-scroller games like this, such as Little Nightmares, Limbo, they're all like $20. And these games aren't normally more than like 10 hours. So I'm kind of curious if Oddworld's like this expansive game or something. But the controls are pretty tight. It does some weird camera things that I found a bit weird. It just felt weird, where they would spin the camera sideways, but the graphics didn't like. It would go like that 2.5D, so you're running sideways. It was kind of not true sideways, but like not behind him. It was weird a few times.
Sure.
It just kind of threw me off. But the game falls on a
What,
track,
like
so
a
it was easy to.
45 degree?
Yeah, like a 45-degree angle, which the gameplay was fine because I didn't have to move him. It's not like Crash Bandicoot. He's still on that one track the whole way through, which to me just made it kind of feel weird to see the camera spin like that on me. But overall, I'm enjoying it. The controls are tight. I've only spent about an hour and a half with it at this point, because I had to go back to try to get a trophy in Assassin's Creed. But
Of course.
but I'm enjoying it so far. If you like Oddworld, you're going to enjoy it. If you like games like Little Nightmares or Limbo or those side-scroller kind of puzzly, you'll like it. You will. Before he goes into his complaints about Outriders, I do got to put a little caveat in here. I personally am technically an Outriders ambassador, and through that, so are the rest of us, because we get a lot of perks for kind of being a part of them, knowledge and stuff like that ahead of time. And I personally am enjoying the game, but I haven't played it very much because it is having one heck of a buggy launch. Shank, tell me your stories of trying to beat the game so you can have the lore ready for our channel.
Well, I put here struggling with Outriders. I'm not really struggling that much. I'm actually really enjoying the game. As a Destiny and Division fan, it has been very reminiscent of like a mishmash of those two games. The gunplay feels a lot like Division, but the powers, I have been just crutching on the Devastator powers. Anomaly, sorry. And I've just been going through and putting all of my points into that. And I can almost constantly have my skills up at this point. So I've been able to run through it pretty well. The issue I'm having is more technical stuff, like disconnects from the internet. The waypoint will get super confused at times, and it'll tell me to go through. There are these little areas that they have that are called hunts. And the only way to get to the hunt is to enter like its own little separate zone. When I go to these separate zones and I do the hunts, then whenever I go to the main story quest, it will make the waypoint try to go back into that zone instead of going to wherever the next MSQ checkpoint is. So I'm just sitting there because I don't really like the map setup. Have you played it enough to like really experiment with the map?
Yeah, I played it for 4 hours or 3 hours. There's a whole stream for it, and I did the whole thing with no HUD. I did it hardcore mode. I loved my only major bug I've run into outside of connection issues has been that my HUD will not appear. And I love how every one of their brothers like, how did you remove the HUD? I'm like, it was not a choice. It's just not there.
Are you sure you didn't do it in the settings? Because there is a settings to remove the HUD.
And that's actually one of the
that.
fixes to go turn it off and then back on and it will reactivate. No, it does not work. I've tried DirectX 12, DirectX 11. I rebooted the game. It went to the lobby, back to the main game. Flashpool in our chat over here knows he's there watching me. I tried every supposed fix.
Yeah,
Man, that's rough.
but like, have you really messed around with the quest and like map at all? Because that's where I'm finding the most issues. Is that I pull up the map and it shows me which zone I'm in, but like, there's no like north waypoint. So like, being new to the game, I'm not able to navigate the way I want to be able to like get to the new zones.
It is, the map's layout's a little interesting. I am much better than you because I'm able to navigate without a map or a waypoint or a compass, and I can get through everything.
This feels toxic. This feels very toxic.
It's a little toxic, not gonna lie.
I do know exactly what you're talking about. Being forced into not having anything, it was like, I'm just like, what's over here? And I had to learn where everything was at, basically.
You just learn the maps themselves.
Because I had no other option. Like, I couldn't tell how much ammo I had or where to go or what's going on. The only clues I had was I was playing it on the stream with Ryan, and he'd be like, yeah, over here's a mission. I'm like, okay. And he's like, hold E. Okay.
Well, right, because the HUD usually tells you to do that stuff, but when all of a sudden the waypoint objective is like spazzing out, it's kind of like Warframe. You remember how Warframe's waypoint objective used to do that thing where
so terrible.
Send you in one direction and then send you back? That's what I've been experiencing, which isn't game breaking. It's enough to interrupt the flow of gameplay where like I'll be like knocking out like 2 hours of the story and then all of a sudden I can't progress anymore because I have to memorize what the entire map looks like.
Yeah.
So that I can navigate to wherever the next quest is. Which isn't a horrible like bug, all things considered. But I mean that's all I meant by I've been struggling with Outriders.
I mean, I've had a lot. I mean, even the little amounts that I've been able to actually sit down and play, I've enjoyed it overall. I found I don't think the game is the second coming of Christ in the looter shooter realm, but I do think it's what we need right now. We just need a solid one with a solid story.
It's a solid entry is what it is. It's a solid entry into a looter shooter.
I mean, I played for about 15 minutes last night before I realized my internet was crapping out. And I disconnected once, which was fine. No big deal. Andy couldn't... he got stuck on the sign-in screen, so he just had to restart his system, and then that worked. But actually playing the game, it was a lot of fun. Like, I definitely see myself playing it once I'm not uploading stuff for the main channel, so...
Right. The way I look at it is that the gameplay is fun. Similar to Destiny, the gameplay is fun. So all the peripheral issues, like, I'm hoping they'll just fix. They seem to be on top of, like, getting patches out and at least acknowledging.
They are aware of a lot of the issues, being that I'm in the Ambassador Discord. They're aware of a ton of the issues. They are working on them all. Their goal is to get everything fixed before rolling out the first DLCs. That's why crossplay doesn't work right now, because it's just problematic, so they just turn it off to call it good. Like, they are working on it. So
well, they even said that. Like, when you log in, they're like, hey, this is why crossplay is not working right now. They're not staying silent. They're actually talking to everybody and be like, hey, this is what's going on. We're working on it.
Which is hilarious, because like Dylan and I are also ambassadors for Avengers, and it's the exact opposite of what Avengers did, because they came out and they were like, broken, and we're not saying shit. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I played about an hour or two of the demo, and I had fun with it. But I immediately started to notice that the game is not optimized well, and was probably gonna have a lot of technical issues at launch. And what's going on with Square Enix? Like, what? They need to give their developers a little more time.
They're focused on Final Fantasy 14 and making money. And unfortunately, Avengers
the
and
Final
Outriders
Fantasy
both
division is
fall
like
into
a whole
making money.
building, I think, at this point. 7 remake. We're gonna do an 8 remake. You heard it here first. No, I don't actually know, but like 7 remake. What other ones can we remake? Do more 14. Make it 16. Like, Outriders. Here's some pennies. It is funny though with Square Enix though, because apparently the server issues is a lot of Square Enix. They're hosting the servers for that whole thing.
I saw People Could Fly talk about that, which was I kind of I get why that they put that out there, but to me it kind of read like, it's not us guys, leave us alone, it's them. It's like, okay.
Here's the question.
I
Dylan,
got news for Dylan real quick. That's like 90% of Twitter at this point. Like, it's just everyone
like
whining about something else or being like, acknowledge me!
Okay, Dylan, I do have a question. If People Can Fly don't have the ability to run their own servers, and they're relying on Square Enix to actually do their job, and they don't, what else are they supposed to tell you? Like, yeah, it's going to sound like whining, but if it's the facts of the situation, then what are they supposed to do besides request Square Enix add more servers?
The way that I read it, like, I get that they were having server issues, and they probably have addressed these other things, but in that specific like tweet that they made with the card that was like Square Enix's issues with their servers, we're hoping they work it out. I just, like, my problems with the game that I had from the very small amount of time that I played the demo were, like, just very clear, like, optimization issues with the game itself, which is not Square Enix's fault. It was not anything to do with network.
Right. Those are my issues as well. My issue is a technical issue with the game not properly allowing me to follow the waypoints.
Yeah.
That is not a server issue. So
my HUD issue is not a server issue.
Right, exactly. But then overall, everybody's been talking how horrible Outriders launch has been. Has it really?
Not really.
No.
Compared to other
as bad.
games, no.
I'm
Every
actually
live
tired
game.
of that. I'm tired of that
live
because
game.
every live game we've ever had, MMO, live service game, looter shooter, for FPS, whatever, battle royale, like there's a handful of games that launched and were prepared for it. Like, Outriders came out at a time when they didn't have a lot of competition. A lot of games were in the middle of their seasons. Like, they're going to be the game a lot of people are going to play. They weren't prepared for it. Everyone's like, oh my God, the launch is terrible. Like, every launch, because every game doesn't know what to expect. It's impossible. They're not going to overspend on the servers because then they're wasting money. But they also, So they're going to put out what they think they're going to have. And then when it blows up, like Outriders is, they're going to go, oh, we need to fix all this stuff. Like,
We need to add more servers, which in a week or 2 weeks will be available.
Tell me the last time an MMO came out and wasn't crappy at launch day.
well, not even. Well, I was going to say, not
gonna-
even just that. First off, I do want to, because we keep calling this, Outriders is not a live service or MMO. Keep that in mind. It
I
is
know.
a single.
It's-
It is
it's-
a one and
yes.
done game.
I'm just saying it's got servers. You have to be online to play it. That's
Yeah.
basically why I'm saying MMO.
And there's going to be DLC. So I know I've been arguing for a while that they're not a live service game, but so far they have customizables you can get. They have constant connection to the internet, and they have DLCs.
It's Borderlands. It's a looter shooter one and done game. It's not a live
Yeah.
service. As in, even if they have DLCs, you're getting a complete package. The DLC is going to add to that complete package, and then there will be a complete edition when it's all done. But don't expect seasons. Don't expect battle passes. Don't expect events to pop down. Don't any of that stuff. It's a one and done looter shooter. Is all it is. It's which I'm not
didn't know
against.
that.
I actually am happy for that because I'm happy that I
Yeah.
can play it and be done. And not be like, all right, 3 months from now, Shank. What are we doing? Okay, so we got Siege event this week, Shank, and then we got the Division one. Destiny's gonna launch its new season in 3 weeks. Are you ready for that one? And then Outriders. We got to work that season pass in here somewhere.
Right, and it'll make me feel confident in actually like putting out lore videos for Outriders because the package is complete. Like that is all we're gonna have until the expansion comes out. My thing is that say the expansion sells really well, and then they decide to do a new expansion 6 months down the road. And then another expansion maybe another 6 months down the road. Well, now they're going to increase how frequently expansions happen to every 3 months. How is that any different than a season pass?
So we're in a fine line thing, just like live service, MMO, all those lines are getting blurred at this point. When it comes to a live service game, the expectation is Avengers. There's a marketplace. We're getting a consistent flow of content. It will not end. Outriders, in theory, is supposed to have a couple of DLCs and be done. They've said that they're going to support it in terms of bugs and patches and glitches, but they're not planning a 5-year plan of a story and an endless thing. In case you forgot the way games used to be, Shank, even with classic the games that started looter shooters, because I know you play Destiny all the time, there was a plan. They'd be like, we have 3 DLCs and we're done. And we're just making another game. And what that has turned into over the years is a live service. Well, now we got to give you stuff to do in the middle. And then we got to get you on the new DLC. And then we got to get you an end game. And then we got to get you a consistent MMO. But we're not an MMO. You know, like...
Then my main question is for them, why did they choose to be an online only game?
Because it's based on 3-player co-op.
Okay. Why can't
there's a-
two
yeah,
AI
that's a-
companions and play
Okay,
single player?
let's explain DRM to you, Houston. We're going to have an entire... This is a can
I
of
know
worms
what
you're opening up
DRM
to.
is.
You're opening up an entire separate podcast discussion. Why does it have to always be online?
No,
Why
it's not
does
that,
your
but
app
now-
game have to be online?
Well, because a lot of
Why?
reasons.
Why is Epic
'Cause
7 online when you're not doing PvP?
So you can
Why?
buy all those
Because
customizable
it's
skins.
a live service thing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You could play Epic 7, your app game, offline, no problem. It's story driven. That you can download the latest story patch. You can do everything in Epic 7 except the arena, offline.
I guess.
Oh, what I'm saying is DRM is a discussion for an entirely different podcast.
It's just for the genre they chose. I don't have to be online to play Borderlands.
I think you do with 3, don't you? Did they finally
you?
do it?
Do you?
I don't know.
If they
I
did,
don't know.
then that's just the way the world's going now, and that makes sense.
Oh, it is the
Yeah,
way
I
the
mean,
world's
that's-
going.
Yeah.
Right. It's been that way since the whole fiasco with the Xbox One, where
Yeah.
they said from the beginning you have to have internet to play this console, and I forget who it was, but I think it was Don Matrick or someone, one of the Xbox CEOs or heads of the company was like, he said after being asked the question, what is your answer to people who want an Xbox One but don't have internet connectivity, he said, we have a console for that, it's called the Xbox 360.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
He went back
the
on that because it was a horrible thing to say.
It's the exact same argument. It's the exact same argument of video game preservation, which was DRM. Why are we always online? Because that's affecting video game preservation. But we got to do DRM because there's a huge pirating market that is affecting the industry. Like that's a whole industry discussion. That's not a why is Outriders online. Outriders is just following with the flow of whatever. Why can't you play Avengers offline, the story mode? You know what I mean? Like why? It's just the nature of these games at this point. Can you play the Avenger mode? Story mode offline?
That's actually a bug fix for a lot of things, is if you turn your internet off, it'll fix a lot of bugs in the game.
Wasn't that how you do the Maestro missions?
Yes, like there are a lot of the Maestro missions, if you turn your internet off, they'll actually show up. If you're connected, they don't.
See, I don't have an issue with DRM as a concept if we were to get a commitment by the game developers or the publishers or whatever, Sony, Xbox, Valve, whoever, saying that they were committed to keeping servers at least at a minimum online so that you can continue playing the game.
Yeah. But that,
and like even if they scale it back to like a fraction of what the servers used to be, and then all of a sudden you see like 5 years from now, Outriders gets this huge resurgence for no apparent reason. Then they just budget in, they expand the Outriders server capacity, and then people are able to play it until it dies off. My issue is that 10, 15 years from now, if I want to go back and play Outriders, I won't be able to.
Or they'll take it offline. I forget. I can't look it up right now, and we'll do it when we'll have a whole discussion about the DRM at some point. But there is some games that just we're now in offline mode. You can go play whenever you want. I forget because we got excited about one of them. There was they just take it offline at that point because they don't care if you're pirating it at that point.
Yeah, it's so far removed from like profit that doesn't matter anymore, which is fair. I mean, that's a good way to
I forget what games did that. There was a few that did that because I remember looking at them being like, "Oh, that was one of my big problems. Your DRM was shit."
Also, Borderlands 3 can be played offline, but you do have to connect online initially to verify that you own the game.
So it's like half DRM.
Yeah.
Like,
you got to phone home first.
Huey, how many app games are you playing now?
Like 7. I don't know. I don't even count anymore. I just play them.
7? You have one of those gaming phones to play them all on?
No, he has 3 tablets.
I have 3 tablets. Here's one. I have this phone.
Where do you have 3 tablets?
I got another tablet upstairs. I got a tablet at work. My computer can play app games. I have this other phone I can play app games on.
Let me see if I can find this image I have of you, and I'm going to send it to Dylan to put into the podcast real quick. This is Houston when he came into work the other day.
And in my defense, in this one of those is Benny's.
Yeah, but that's just replacing yours from where you would have it elsewhere. That's all it is. That's all it is. I'll put it in the PSG staff chat too. There. So here you guys go in the chat. This is Houston at work.
Hard at work.
At work.
It's my job now. Also, I got the salt.
Dylan,
right
can
there.
you please put this in at this point into the video just so that people can see Huey hard at work?
This is me working.
All 3 tablets had a game going, and so did that phone. And here's the kicker.
Wait, did the phone?
Yeah, the phone did. The kicker is he says that this was work, right? He says that this was work. He would have been doing this even if we didn't have PSG.
Shut up. You be quiet. It's my turn to talk.
Look, he has an excuse now.
Just because you can read categorizing this as work.
Benny got me into the Assassin's Creed app game, and it's a lot of fun. I won't lie, but I have a lot of complaints with it as well. The biggest one being, what's the point of me spending money on this app game? Like, they're trying to get me to buy packs, but why? Because the only thing they've got is PvE content. There's no PvP, there's no guilds, there's none of that. There's one leaderboard every couple days for an event that you can try to build up to get free character shards, but do you need the character shards at that point if you're paying to be the top of the leaderboard?
Sounds like a pro, not a con to me.
It is a pro. It is a pro. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the bigger pros. It's just from a monetizing standpoint for them, it's a free-to-play game. There's no reason to pay money.
As a rule, I try not to explain why I'm spending money on games, because then it gets down to the root of the issue, which is why am I spending any money on any of these games for any reason?
That makes sense. I mean, I give myself a budget because they're free to play. I'd spend $60 to go buy Avengers, which I did. So if I put
Well,
$60,
right,
just-
a budget's separate though than just saying like, why am I buying this stuff from Eververse or from Avengers Store?
Oh yeah.
Because I want to have the Black Widow
I wanna
costume from the
look
Avengers.
Right, exactly. The real issue is because I want to look like a badass.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think that's an issue.
But the thing
it's a feature.
That was great.
It's a feature.
Ubisoft now has the Elite Squad game, which Benny also got me into, which makes
It's all the
me.
Siege characters.
It's all the shooter and
Tom
tactical
Clancy
characters.
characters?
It's Tom
all the
Clancy.
Clancy's. There's a guild. There's PvP. There's the arena. There's real-time arena. So I'm more inclined to spend in this game because I want to do better in those aspects. And where Assassin's Creed's all about the brotherhood, you're just making your own brotherhood. You're not making a brotherhood with like other people. So
You're boring,
between those two, he doesn't like app games.
I didn't get enough
Dylan
sleep.
needs
I'm sorry.
But between the two games being both developed by Ubisoft, why didn't they take ideas from each other?
Yeah, I feel like that's just a lot of. I've had this problem with Pokemon games for a while when they were kind of back when they were doing more regular releases. There was like an A team and a B team, right? And like usually the B team had the better ideas, and the A team was just kind of putting out the same nonsense over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they don't talk. They're developing at the same time.
Look at the disaster that was Pokemon Go for like 2 years.
Yeah.
This game's amazing. Look how great it is. Why can't I do anything except catch
Why
a
am I
Pokemon?
still lagging?
I mean, look at the disaster that is Pokemon Sword and Shield. Don't at me.
I still
That's
haven't
what
played
happens
that. It's
when you-
downloaded. I'm gonna play it eventually one day. I got a lot of Assassin's Creed to go through first, and then
That's
I'll
fair.
set the goal of beating every Pokemon game.
Hey, just to throw it out there, the Assassin's Creed are on the Switch too.
Are they all of
Yeah,
them?
not all of them. Some of them.
Okay, some of them.
But there's no trophies attached.
That's true.
That's true.
Sorry, you gotta.
Does Nintendo have any like achievement system?
No, well,
No.
I've never understood.
Listen.
Like,
Good for them.
Benny needs his digital gold star to say that he did something.
you of all people, Mister, I need the blue armor in Destiny because I want the gold border on my collections tab.
Benny, it's because I have no shame. I can call you out for the exact same issues I have.
I respect it. Anyway, in War of the Visions, I managed to max EX my Yuna. People who play that know what it means. Everybody else, basically, it's a pay-to-win job tier.
Okay.
We both went in hard.
I definitely went over my budget in War of the Visions this month. Or last month, I should say.
Budget, what's that?
Exactly. But the big thing I wanted to talk about has nothing to do with app games. It's Pac-Man 99.
Awesome.
It was just a random drop the other day. I saw a tweet about it. It's like Pac-Man 99 is coming out, which was yesterday now, Thursday. And I downloaded it, and I played the crap out of it. It's
What is
literally you remember Tetris 99? It's Tetris Battle
Yeah.
Royale.
Okay,
This is
that's what
Pac-Man Battle Royale.
How does that work?
They added a bunch of new mechanics to it, so it's just your basic first map that you would get in Pac-Man, and you just keep going around it. And every time you eat a power pellet, you get the ghosts. When you eat a ghost, you send a ghost Pac-Man to the other people. And then if you hit the ghost, Pac-Man slows you down so the ghosts can catch up to you. And then there's things where
Whoa.
you can eat
That's
these like
cool.
chain of like ghost pellets, which will put more ghosts onto one of the other ghosts. So when you get the power pellet and eat it, it's like, here's 30 ghost Pac-Man. Go, have fun.
Awesome.
The best
So we
I've
should all
managed to-
play this?
It's fantastic. The best I've done so far is 4th. I'm a little upset I haven't won yet. Most people don't know. Well, some people do. Pac-Man, if there's a Pac-Man arcade anywhere that I am, that's where you'll find me. It's my favorite arcade game of all time. So when
Nice.
this was announced, I jumped on it, and I'll probably play it when we're done.
I also want to one thing. Apparently, he was going to talk about. He was supposed to just farm things up in Monster Hunter Rise until I beat Assassin's Creed and joined him on Monster Hunter, and he beat Monster Hunter.
Well,
waiting for
B is
So you beat Monster Hunter Rise.
B is a relative term. I got the credit scene after beating the title monster, and then they're like,
Beat
"Oh,
the campaign.
there's so much more to do now. You can
Yeah, but
go
he still
these
beat the game.
monsters."
And for the record, I didn't ask him to wait for me. He said, "I will wait and just do some farming, and then we can start playing
And
together
that's what
once
I've
you
been
wrap
doing.
up."
I've been farming the single player story. I haven't
Fair
touched the hub quest yet.
He's got
just
a
getting
point.
real
Remember
strong.
how much was available after, in World after you beat the
Everybody
Final
plays
Dragon?
the Monster Hunter games for high rank, not low rank.
Whatever. All I know is you ditched me to go play
All I
Pac-Man.
know is you've been playing Assassin's Creed, so you can't get on Monster Hunter.
I'm so close. So close. And then, of course,
You're
Natalie's like, "Are you going to start Revelations?" I'm like, "No, we're taking a break. We're taking at least a week off.
Benny,
I'm
Benny.
going to go beat Control, and I'm going to go beat Oddworld, and we'll come back."
You're
got
not
all
so
year.
close to being done with Assassin's Creed. Stop lying to yourself.
As a franchise, no. As a franchise, I've actually... How many do I have that I could do?
Well, like 8. There's a lot of games in that franchise.
I know.
Come out like every year, sometimes
Well, you got
twice a year.
Revelations, you got 3, you got 4.
You got 14. you got
Rogue.
23.
Let's see. We could think of them all. Where's the franchise wiki? That's what I need. Assassin's Creed as a franchise.
You got all the side scrollers.
Okay. So I got Brotherhood. So I got to go Revelations in 3. Both of those are massive. I got Black Flag, Rogue, Unity, Syndicate, Origins. Nope, Origins done. So I have on the main line 3 Black Flag, Rogue, Unity, and Syndicate are left. But
Oh boy.
out of the spin-off games that I have available to me, I have Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, Assassin's Creed China, India, Russia, and Arno's Chronicles. Oh, that's an Android game. Crap! Do I gotta download
Oh,
that?
boy.
Oh no! Oh
I
no!
don't- It's probably not available anymore.
Let's hope.
And you don't get trophies, so what's the point?
Why am I doing Rebellion?
You got to do them all.
Yeah.
Just watching the movies. You got to make your own trophies for those.
I'm gonna make Houston watch the movie with me. It'll be great.
He's not gonna.
You will
Stream
resist.
I've watched
Stream
it
it.
once. It's
That's
terrible.
not allowed.
We'll stream it. We'll stream my live reactions to it. It'll be great.
Oh boy.
Look forward to it. Actually,
Okay.
I want to see Huey's live reaction. Not
You'll be
yours.
seeing me playing app games in my Switch the whole time.
And now you have to join us for that as well, Shank. All right, so let's go to the news segments then, because Ardo's Chronicles is luckily not on there anymore, so I'm okay. All right, so Outriders, we discussed already at length how we feel about the situation. In the end thoughts on that, I think it's a great game. If you like Gears of War, Borderlands, Destiny, I think it's going to do great once it's out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What I have played has been a blast. So.
I plan.
And if you want to see more, want to see more of us playing it, me, Shank, and our buddy Platinum are probably gonna be playing it in the morning tomorrow. So, E3 officially unveiled as a digital event June 12th to the 15th. Early commitments from Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and Koch. Kind of surprised. Well, Nintendo technically never left. They just said we're just doing digital stuff anyway.
That's what they're doing again anyway. They literally said it's gonna be a video.
The interesting thing, so does anybody have more information on this? Because these early commitments, are they saying that they're showing up for E3, or are they just saying we're going to have an event around that time?
They're going to be part of E3.
From what I read,
they're going to release
this
their
is
digital
E3.
event video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is a change, because Nintendo has done directs for the past few years, but they've done them around E3 time and haven't like specifically been a part of E3. They've just, I mean, they've been on the show floor, but they haven't, like, you know, the direct wasn't like, this is our E3 presentation. It's normally just like, here's the direct that's coming out around E3 time. Like, we all know it's part of E3, but that's fun to, maybe Nintendo will come back on stage.
So I don't know how the business runs for like actually getting a spot at E3, But as somebody who's more casual to gaming, I really dislike the way the last like 4 years, it seems everybody has to have their own presentation. Like,
Well,
you can
it's what happened to the comic book world. The comic book world did the same problem.
I was thinking Comic-Con. Comic-Con
Yeah.
used to be the one thing I had to watch once a year to know what was going to happen in the next year. And
Yeah,
then it was Disney and Warner Brothers, and everybody wanted
Well,
to
because
do
what
their own
happened
thing.
is everyone charges a ton of money. For those who don't know the logistics of a con, the con makes their money off people buying booths at the con, and then you're expected to recoup your own money by selling your own merchandise and stuff like that. And you're also limited on floor space. And if somebody, let's say, for example, Sony wants to show up and showcase 20 new cinematic games and wants a ton of floor space, and E3 goes, but you can have this corner or pay an astronomical amount to have the second corner, and they gauge. Sony instead can go, instead of paying you the money, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to put it in my own convention, and I have all the floor. And that's why these things have started happening. Because then you have things like Sony wants to do their own presentation with the PlayStation Expo. But a better example is D23. Disney's like, we have this Disney Expo. Why are we buying floor space and hall space at San Diego when we own Marvel and we own this already and it's in our facility?
The same reason why people want to get Netflix and not get CBS Plus and ABC Plus and ESPN Plus. Like,
Oh, they don't care about the consumers. If any of these companies cared about the consumers, they'd all be at Netflix, Jake.
which is my point. But the point is that eventually people just stop paying attention, right?
I think the big reason all these people are coming back, they don't need floor space now.
Yeah.
It's literally, hey, we don't have to spend any extra resources to stream our stuff. We can just go and do it with them now.
Which is how I think it should be for like announcements. Like if you want to have like some big like reveal, do it on your own floor space. I get that. But like for announcements, I prefer the way it was 5 years ago. Maybe I'm showing my age, but I prefer how it was 10 years ago, guys.
No, I actually agree. I miss the old days of E3 where it's like, all right, guys, I'm taking 3 days off of work. I'm going to sit here and watch this 8-hour presentation. I'm going to watch these people on screen where I'm like, who the heck is that guy? Why is this guy whining about a game? Just give me what I want.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting. Sony's skipped out because Sony's decided they're too big for E3 at this point. That they decided that 3 or 4 years ago. Activision Blizzard has BlizzCon, but what does EA have? Because they're skipping.
Xbox and Sony.
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff that they show up with.
EA.
EA's conference
No, but they
is always
show a
fun.
lot at E3. They normally have the
Right.
the
It's gonna
E3
be, I'll
EA.
tell you right
Oh.
now, it's going to be part of the Xbox conference.
You think so?
Yeah, because
Oh yeah, because they got their
But
plus.
EA
Xbox-
Plus is now part of the Xbox Game Pass.
But Xbox is going to show up to E3.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why Electronic Arts isn't going to do their own. They're just going to add stuff
Rolling
to
it
the
in.
Xbox one. Saves them
Okay, that
money.
makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do. I'm more okay with companies kind of doing their own thing over the course of the year because I just think it's more interesting, keeps the hype alive more consistently. Which like E3 being like the big blowout was always fun for like the next year, but honestly, like with how games are developing these days, we don't really get those big reveals anymore. We get more consistent incremental updates because games take so long to make now.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that I really miss is the big like showmanship of being on stage and everything. And unfortunately, it's a pro and a con, right? Like what COVID has taught companies is that they don't need to spend a lot of money on resources like big shows, and office space and whatever. So like a side effect of that is like even when the world is back to normal, I would not be surprised if a lot of companies did go the way of Nintendo a few years ago and just trimmed down and didn't, like Xbox and Sony just skipped, EA and Ubisoft just skipped, like they don't have a big stage performance. Like E3 just becomes come to our con and demo everyone's games, and we don't have the big stage presentations, but I think would be a huge shame personally.
It's a new era. You're not wrong though. When's the last time we had a big reveal of a game that was at anything? Normally it's just a trailer that drops and we all go, "Oh my god!" It trends for a day, and then
Well,
it
everything
vanishes.
gets leaked these days too, but which I try to avoid, but it's, things get out soon. But I just remember the conference where hot off the heels of Xbox One making like all of their nonsense, and what's his face? Sean Layden, I think, came out on the PlayStation stage and just ruined them for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Like, we're not going to get that again. The crowd reaction to the simple stuff that he was saying, like, no, always online, you can share discs. People lost their minds.
Yeah.
That was fantastic to see. I want more of that.
How to share a game with Sony.
Here you go.
Yep.
It's interesting though, because I feel like that ended up putting the PS4 like above what the Xbox was putting out at the time. Like it changed the dialogue. So now that doesn't exist, you could probably say a lot of the same things for PlayStation right now. They're shutting off stores.
Oh, yeah.
They're cutting off access to old games. If Xbox was able to come out and ruin Sony the way that Sony ruined Xbox when the PS4 released, you might see Xbox sales just skyrocket compared to PS5s.
Xbox is interesting, and this is a whole nother discussion in general. Just the direction they've taken ever since they got shit on so bad.
Well, and I think their business plan has been a reaction to how bad that E3 went.
Oh yeah. Well, they're also moving in a different direction. Xbox, because they've lost all their exclusives. They canceled a bunch of games. Xbox in general is just moving into a service.
They are.
I think that's what they're aiming for.
I don't
Well,
think
my
there's
point
gonna
was
be
when you
another
got
Xbox
up-
console.
Right. My point was when you got up, because we don't have the E3 like media.
Look at that happy boy back there.
But
Hey,
anyways,
happy
because,
boy. Hey, happy
because
boy.
we
What'd you
don't
get?
have like the media coverage of that.
Going. I was here the whole time.
Because we don't have like the media coverage of that, there's going to be no way for Xbox to take the title from Sony, because they could be giving Sony the same flack for some of the stuff that they're pulling right now.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah,
wrong.
It's
I mean,
a downside.
Sony-
It's a downside to the way it is now. It's not necessarily better or worse, but
Sony has kind of always like flip-flopped through the generations. Like PS3, everyone hated them because their console costed like $700 at launch, and
Yeah.
they were being the most obtuse, like rude, like people in terms of business. And then PS4 comes around, and everyone loves them because they're just being regular, and they got humbled. But now
It's
I think,
just
after
different.
PS4, they're back up at that like, we're the best.
I think
And
they're
Oh, yeah,
better
yeah.
than everybody now.
And the
Yeah.
problem is they're kicking ass. Like,
They are, but for how much longer?
they're going to get
Yeah.
humbled again. That's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
I hope so. I like PlayStation definitely has. They've got a problem with management and just people like feeling like they're like higher and mightier than they should be.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the PS3 ads? Like, they're hilarious. But like the ad with the baby, where it's just like a doll of like a baby like staring at a PS3, and it's like, check our console out. It's the best thing on the planet. And it's like, okay, guys, you're using the Spider-Man font for your logo. Maybe roll it back a bit.
Well, they had Spider-Man.
But it's going to be interesting to see the direction that E3 is taking now. Let's keep moving through these because we don't have much more to say about it other than we're going to miss how it used to be. Unless anybody's got something to add to it, do you?
Not really.
No, yeah, that's kind of.
Okay.
I just miss it.
Personally,
I miss E3.
I miss that, but I do like the new way they're doing it because now I don't have to tune in 100 different days throughout the year.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
fair.
that doesn't mean they're not going to. I mean, we
Oh, they'll
literally
still
had
do it.
we still had the Ubisoft one a little while ago. We had the Sony one, and then like Nintendo was
had
like,
one.
"Here's one, and you're gonna get a different one for Pokemon."
Yeah, I don't know why Pokemon gets its own stuff. They never have anything to announce at those. It's like one thing that they stretch out into 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Like, you
it
just
is.
put that.
Because
in the
unfortunately,
Nintendo
right now,
thing.
Pokemon's their only big thing.
That's that. Those are some people that need to get humbled. Pokemon.
Days Gone 2 is supposedly okay. So I found this one. It said they don't want to do Days Gone 2 because it just didn't do well enough overall, and that apparently they're remaking The Last of Us 1 for PS5.
They're remaking it or remastering
Yes.
it?
No, I read remake.
Remake.
Okay,
Wow.
so up a little
Cool.
bit higher, this Sony's obsession with blockbusters stirring unrest in PlayStation Empire, that's actually what that article was talking about, was apparently there was a PlayStation group, like inside PlayStation, that was remaking The Last of Us. But apparently what ended up happening was once Naughty Dog released The Last of Us 2, they ended up bringing people from the original Last of Us 1 game from Naughty Dog into work on this remaster. And basically it's just driven out everybody from PlayStation, like the actual PlayStation studio themselves, to remake The Last of Us.
Yeah, apparently
So-
it's tied to the Days Gone 2 thing because they're the guys that were doing it.
Right.
And the creative director left because he didn't want to just be absorbed by Naughty Dog, which was actually seemingly happening.
Right. That was exactly what the story was talking about. And I don't know how I feel about this, because I feel like if Naughty Dog's doing a good job with Last of Us, then they should have control of The Last of Us. But then it ends up affecting things like Days Gone coming out. So, I don't know.
My biggest question is, why do we need another remake of The Last of Us? It's not
Because
that
Last of
old.
Us 1 is Sony's Skyrim. That's
Well,
what
it
is.
hasn't
I know,
been. It
I know.
hasn't been remade. It's
It
been
was
remastered.
Yeah, it's been
Remastered,
remastered a couple
but why do
times.
we need it remade?
Because the game is horrible.
Okay.
Yeah,
But are you
the
really
further
gonna
we
go
get
through
away
it
from when
again?
The Last of Us came out, the
I mean, no,
more
there
I
is a
feel
fan
like
base for Last
they
of Us.
could- It's not that it's a bad game. The story's great. It's just like there are ways that you can just fix some of the gameplay issues,
Yes,
especially with
the story. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I actually have a lot of notes on a video that will probably never be made on how I think like The Last of Us like gameplay is really dated and is
Oh, yeah.
not good at all. So hearing that they're remaking, like I haven't played Last of Us 2, but
I played the first couple of hours and they don't even care about the gameplay anymore, and I got bored.
fair enough.
It's all about that cinematic presentation now.
Which that's fine because
The
that
opening
was the
sequence
strengths
was,
of
here's
Last
how
of
you
Us.
play guitar with Ellie. And I'm like, why am I
Awesome.
fighting zombies? What?
That is not why I care about Last of Us. The
Exactly,
gameplay.
yeah,
So
like-
that it was such an impedance to have like gameplay that A is really slow and B is just like not polished in any way. And I think like a remake could definitely like come in and fix all of those problems, which is what you would want out of a remake, I would say.
I would like to point out that when it came out, though, the gameplay was polished.
Oh, yeah. It's
See,
just
I
old.
that's
2013,
kind of
right?
the point of my video is there were games at the time that were doing what Last of Us tried to do far better. But again, that video will probably never come out because those games take forever to play.
Well, I mean, it's
And I
like my
don't have
experience with
time.
the Assassin's Creeds. Literally going from Valhalla to Assassin's Creed 2. It's like, holy crap. This was a good game when it came out?
I would
My-
argue it wasn't, but that's
my-
just me.
My biggest problem with this new remake remaster system is we're not getting new games anymore. We're just getting the old games we've already played.
What do you mean? I love playing Brotherhood again.
See, as somebody, and I will say this with confidence, as somebody who just basically played Call of Duty for most of my high school and college career, it is actually nice being able to go back and play some of these games for the first time in a remastered format without having to like play through all like the bugs and the hiccups of like the older versions of the game.
I'll agree with you on that, but now Days Gone 2 isn't going to happen because they want to remake The Last of Us.
I mean, to agree with Shank on this one, actually, and I've always played games. Since I was a kid, I've bought like all the obscure games and all the big blockbusters, whatever. The gaming industry as a whole has made huge strides to be what it is in the last 30 years. You go back to like the 90s and you're like, it was just a child's toy. No one played video games. You go back to the 2000s, Metal Gear Solid 1, that didn't make headlines and become some big cinematic piece. It was the first cinematic game. So a lot of these games that you and I played when we were kids, Houston, because we're the old guys here, that
Surprise.
they were considered to be the forerunners of a lot of these formats and a lot of these styles. They're the ones that created this. And they were broken as hell, like Dylan just said.
I agree
to,
with you.
So to take something like Last of Us 1, which came out in 2013, and the amount of strides gaming has made to be a mainstream thing, and even those 7 to 8 years is insane. Now, go back and play something that Shank never got to play. You know what I mean? Like, well, yeah, I liked Last of Us 2, but I'm really curious about the original game, and it is janky.
But why don't we go back and remake PlayStation 1 games that were just as good and just as janky?
We did. You played Spyro.
Final Fantasy 7?
Okay.
Final Fantasy 7.
Hear me out.
Crash Bandicoot.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that. But the original Tomb Raider series, where's that?
They did
Tomb Raider's entire reset.
Okay, yes, they did a reset. I'm asking for the original. You're like, I didn't get to play these games.
And you're not wrong. And maybe they will, but not everything.
That's what we were talking about last week, though. Like, if they released Tomb Raider 1, like the new version, and then also released the original Tomb Raider with that would be perfect as far as like a way to get people to play the new stuff and then also like get to experience the older stuff. I
agree. I feel like The Last of Us isn't a great choice for Sony to be putting so much money into right now.
I think it's too soon.
I think they need
to wait maybe 5. But if they're planning on releasing it in 4 or 5 years, now would be the time that they'd want to start that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't just start it though. That's the thing. They've been on it for a little while now. Well, simply put, it's the biggest of these Sony exclusives. And if you look, they're really doubling down on a lot of the big Sony exclusive titles. You know what I mean? The ones that did amazing.
I would argue Horizon Zero Dawn's their biggest. Well, probably Spider-Man.
No, it's not their biggest at all. Spider-Man is. And they've doubled down 8 times on Spider-Man. They just remastered Spider-Man and it came out 3 years ago.
When there's
what?
That same argument, Benny, where's the Uncharted 1 remake then?
They did that. They did a remaster of the trilogy.
Remaster. They did a remaster of The Last of Us.
Well, Naughty Dog's doing it, and they're doing Last of Us first. It's the same company. It's the same group.
Well, no, it's
just be patient, Huey. They're going to remaster everything.
Hold on, wait. Do you not realize that they just remastered the original Spider-Man PS4?
Do you? Yeah, I do.
No, I'm telling the Shake. No, Shake didn't know that.
Oh, no, I had no idea.
They just remastered it.
And that game's 4 years old.
Not even
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's the same
I played it in my last apartment, which is not that long ago. So, there's no reason for that to be.
They didn't overhaul the game.
Also, Benny, just to say, it's not Naughty Dog. It's Sony hiring Naughty Dog people to come into their studio to remake their game.
Right. I would say so. Here's what I would say is why they chose Last of Us over Uncharted. Uncharted is basically definitively done. And I don't think they want Nathan Drake associated with PS5 unless there's going to be another one. While Last of Us is technically on its second game, and it's in a universe that they could make another game in, and they just came out with Last of Us 2. So I think they want to double down on something that they know is probably getting another game in the franchise, as opposed to something that is definitively done. Like they have said they are done with Uncharted. So
I mean, just from this article we're talking about, I do think it's a problem.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because I didn't play Days Gone.
It's a problem because Days Gone 2 is not happening.
Yeah, everybody
who's played
it seems
new
great.
games. We're now losing new games. Exactly what you're saying, Huey. We're losing new games in replace of getting a remastered whatever
of a game that came out 7 years ago. It's not that long in gaming terms.
Well, sales are going to prove it. That's going to be a thing. Maybe this Days Gone being free this month is to kind of test the waters if they could try it again.
I mean, I'm going to agree with you. Sales are going to prove it. Unfortunately, the sales are going to show that they're doing the right thing because everybody's going to jump on The Last of Us remake.
Yeah. It's huge. It's one of it's one of those games that even non-gamers play. So,
I know why they're doing it.
My wife's
I just don't
playing it
agree
right now.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, tell her to stop because remake.
She's having fun. So
no more fun. You got to wait for the better version.
We have principles in this house.
So real quick, we're not going to know any more about that. This was just a funny note. Deathloop has been delayed till September 14th. I find that hilarious because for those of us with PS5s, it was supposed to be a launch title of PS5, and it's been on that storefront for 4 months. Deathloop.
Fair.
Deathloop.
I'm really okay with devs taking their time.
Oh, I am too. I have no problem.
You just answered my question, which is, would you rather developers keep their promise for release dates for you or release a polished game.
Release the polished game. I just find it funny
Every
because
time.
their biggest thing when they were first announced was it's a launch title for the PS. You know what? We're not ready yet. Well, that's fine.
Maybe
That's
not.
totally
That's
fine.
Yeah.
But like, don't market your game as something until you know you can deliver that.
Exactly.
Moving on, Call of Duty Mobile made $10 billion in 2020. This explains how much they kept trying to get me to play Call of Duty Mobile. I kept getting so many ads.
Oh
to
yeah,
play
there's
Call of
ads
Duty.
for it everywhere.
You didn't read the second part of that. Making it among the world's largest studios.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, here's the funny thing.
And
is
you
a lot of
wonder.
people a lot of people to this day, and Huey and I play app games all the time. So does Dan. I know a lot of people that do. They want to crap all over mobile games. Like, we're at a weird precipice with mobile games where, yes, there is still the cash grabby ones, but the fact of the matter is, really solid games are coming out on mobile now. Like, I think my phone's as powerful as my Switch.
It's probably more powerful. I'll be honest.
How old is your Switch?
Yeah, true.
So moving past that, Monster Hunter Rise surpasses 5 million units globally. They've already announced it's coming to Steam. So...
Monster Hunter has become Capcom's biggest franchise, which makes me very happy.
Yeah. And then we've also
Hey,
got Super Nintendo World under construction at Universal Hollywood. If PSG continues to grow, that'll be our
Yes.
first outing.
It better continue to grow because I want to go.
Bro, I watched the unveiling that Miyamoto did of the Nintendo World, or like the Mario World in where is it? Is it in? It's in China
in Japan.
somewhere, I think.
Japan.
Is it? I didn't think
It's
it was in
Japan.
Japan.
No, it's in Japan.
Okay. Well, in
Universal
Japan.
Studios Japan.
Okay, I thought it was like Universal China or something. I don't know, because that's where a lot of those things pop up. That shit made me cry, man.
Yeah, I want to go so bad.
I
I
want to
wanna go there.
I'll go now. I don't speak Japanese, but I'll go.
Four
Just to be
white
there.
guys walking around Japan trying to find you.
We
Leave
know
it in Nintendo.
Mario.
We're a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Well, and
We
two of
speak
us are
the
like
It's all
6'2",
language, too.
right? So,
Yeah.
Get looked at funny, too tall.
All right, and that is the end of our talking points of the PSG podcast. Honest question, let us know down below if you like us kind of going in depth into the topics we do choose to talk about, if you like this being a longer podcast, or if you prefer it to be around the hour-long marker. We're doing this next Friday as well. We will continue our stories of his Overwatch journey, me going insane on Assassin's Creed, Houston downloading 5 new app games, and Shank
I started
playing
playing
Destiny.
poker last night too on
and
my
Outriders
phone.
this week.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We will see you next week right here at the PSG Podcast.